na 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 da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na, did it. Yeah, we did the X-Men intro from the 90s. We're great. I had to. I wanted to do it yesterday.
Halloween.
Like, it's for Halloween. Everyone likes X-Men during Halloween, you know? Like, what's more Halloween than the X-Men? Nothing. And don't say Michael Myers.
Your mother's ass.
That's kind of mean. I mean,
So we're back on.
I mean, you don't need to say mean stuff. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so we're back on. We're having a general discussion today about kind of every topic we usually hit. Everything from gaming to wrestling to even maybe some like movie topics if we get there. Because like I know Five Nights at Freddy's just came out, which I'm not like giant on the series, but I'm probably gonna go see it. Jasmine wants to go see it, and it is a gaming movie, so I'll get to be it. Like she could tell me if it's good or not compared to the, you know what I mean?
Always good when it's always interesting when a game gets a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like good, but it's definitely interesting.
I think it'll be all right. I heard that like at one of the premieres there's like a fight or something, but I don't know about that.
Yeah, I've seen the movie. It was a bit wild considering like sort of aimed at I guess a fan base more than the general public, because Five Nights at Freddy's is a very dedicated community.
It's very niche. Like, yeah, it's not when like nothing against Five Nights at Freddy's or its community, but it's like a lot of things. It's not like I wouldn't call it like, I guess you could call it mainstream, but it's not. It's kind of in the same boat as like wrestling. Not everyone is into it. Like, you get what I mean? Like, yeah,
It's got its big fans.
there's nothing wrong with that either, but it's definitely very niche. I don't know much about it. Like, I know it's some kind of like haunted Chuck E. Cheese or something, but that's about.
Yeah, it's been around for years and years, to be honest, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say what it's like. I don't know. It came out in like what, like 2013 or something.
I think yeah, like similar time to Minecraft.
Yeah. So, I mean that's respectable too, because that's a long time, and they still make games. I don't know if the guy said he was done after the last one, but I know that they like up until
Got a
recently.
new one coming out.
I wonder if they'll make like Five Nights at Freddy the movie, the game, like.
The movie.
You know how they do that sometimes, like when they made Street Fighter the movie, the game, and it was like, why did you make a? That's so weird. You make a movie or a movie based off a game, and then you make a game based off a movie that's based off a game. Like, this is so weird.
They should make Five Nights at Glaz's.
Look at the champ. Always an event when she competes.
Is that just like you locking somebody in a pantry for 3 hours?
Yeah, it'll be the best-selling game of all time.
And that one kid will come out and say he thinks his like leader Bill Clinton or whatever. What was wrong with that kid? He was weird.
Very.
I wonder how he would feel about Kong, though, like playing that game. Okay, so what do you think is worse, Kong or Golem?
Well, Golem seems like a badly finished game, like a very rushed out game. Kong, on the other hand, it hasn't even reached that level.
Yeah, it's like
They
it's
released it in a state of
unfinished.
pre-production. So if I was like actually a customer of both games, I'd probably be more mad at Kong than I would Golem.
Because I think Golem is at least playable. Like, it's just not nice looking, and it's kind of like flat,
it's just a
but like,
you can tell it's a rushed out game, but it's still a game.
God, how is Kong so bad? Like,
Good. Let's see what they got there.
Worse than anything I've ever seen before.
it's a $40 game too. I feel like that's like a just paying $40 to be part of a class action lawsuit at some point.
I know. I'm not excusing Cyberpunk's very bad launch, but Cyberpunk was a released game that had loads and loads of glitches.
And at least
Glitches
like,
happen when you make a game. They didn't animate a cutscene. They just used an image. with a white background. Like,
JPEG.
they used a JPEG instead
And
of an
at least Cyberpunk, like, fundamentally worked for, like, what it was supposed to. Like, the driving around and, like, the main story stuff and, like, the mission stuff worked. It was just other stuff was, like, buggy or just fell flat. Like, the Kong, just nothing worked.
Yeah, even, like, the graphics, it looks like... I don't even know what it looks like. It's so strange.
Looks like... To me, it looked like a late PS2, like early PS3 game when they were like, you know what I mean? They hadn't figured out like that kind of like HD graphics like yet, but they were trying like.
Yeah.
But they weren't like it looks like something you would have played with like the motion controller on the PS3. That like the 6.
It's like ridiculous like that.
It's not well made. Like. And the fact that it's $40, if it was $10, I would almost say that's too much.
Yeah, I know. Like, an indie game looks like it would have more effort. I don't know how big the production was for it, but if they're charging $40, I assume it was like a somewhat decently budgeted game.
I think it was a sizable studio that made it, but I'm not 100%.
No excuse.
Hold on, can
In 2023, we're getting Kong released, but we're also getting a game like Spider-Man 2 released. Watch them side by side. I get the production is completely different, but you can just tell like the quality of game we're at this day and age.
Or even like on a lesser note, like something like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, another licensed game. And that wasn't garbage. Like it didn't have a huge budget or a huge production like team like or anything. I'm pretty sure. Like I know it had decent, but I'm saying it's not on the level of, like Spider-Man. And that game was like it functions. It's decent looking. Like nobody feels like they got ripped off buying it. And I'm not saying anything against Spider-Man. I was just saying like even if we were going on the lesser extent of that end, like it's like. Yeah,
I don't think Texas Chainsaw Massacre had a huge budget either, so I think that's a good comparison, if anything.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of sad that like Golem and Kong come out like that, and then you have Texas Chainsaw, which is like it's leagues and bounds better, and like
just extremely embarrassing. Be ashamed of yourself.
And then also, why are we making like licensed movie things? Like at least Texas Chainsaw has like a new movie every few years, and like there's like it's like relevant like for release when it did come out because it was like kind of getting closer to Halloween. But like, why are we making like a Kong movie and a Golem movie based off like the Peter Jackson movies and stuff? When like those movies, like the last one for those series, like came out in the 2000s. Like, why are we making games for like movies like that?
Like, I don't remember an audience ever asking for it, to be honest.
It's like, I don't remember anyone ever being like, "Oh man, I want a new like Golem game," because that's who I always wanted to play as when I think Lord of the Rings.
I would expect like on like the
guy.
Nintendo DSi or something when that first launched, and it sort of visually looks like that too.
Yeah. Both of those games definitely, and then there's RoboCop, where I think it's like it's visually appealing and the gameplay's all right, but I think it's just a little too easy, is what I've heard. Because it's kind of like a power fantasy. Yeah, it's very complete, and the visuals are nice. I'm not going to say anything against that game because it has some of the nicest visuals. I don't know if you've seen it; it's very pretty.
I haven't seen a whole lot of it. I've heard a lot more about it than I've seen anything on it.
The only gripe I know a lot of people have is just it has like a lot of auto aim, and so it makes it feel a little too easy. But like I'd rather the game like be decent and like kind of easy feeling than Kong.
Yeah, one's like RoboCop's a complaint about a game mechanic. One's a complaint about a game just not being ready to be released or just being completely
should not have been released.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
is
game.
Is it the first proper RoboCop game ever, is it?
I don't know if it's... No, because they had them... Like, if we're talking ever, I know they've had, like, arcade games and NES games, and I'm sure there's probably, like, a PlayStation game or something around there, like PS1. But, yeah, this is probably, like, the first, like, big budget, like, kind of heavily promoted. A good amount of the gaming community is looking forward to it, kind of thing. Which is weird because they really haven't had like much RoboCop stuff in a long time. And like the last movie that came out was a remake, and it was a completely different RoboCop. It was one more based off the comic, not the.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm thinking Judge Dredd. That's my bad. I don't know. We haven't had a new RoboCop, have we?
There was. I don't think like since like 10 latest.
Was that the remake? Was that one
that was
one
remake.
bad?
That was a remake. I couldn't tell you because I haven't seen the first one. I've only seen that one. I didn't think it was a bad film, but it's not something I'd like choose to watch again.
Well, the only thing about the older ones is they have 80s cheese going for them. So even if they're not that good, they have like that. It's because they're like 80s and 90s movies, so they get away with some of their more like dumber plot points.
It's true.
Where like if it's a more modern one, it doesn't really. I don't know why I thought the newer Judge Dredd was a RoboCop movie for a minute. I don't know what was going on there. Oh, that newer Judge Dredd was really good.
Is that the one with I forget his name, the Australian guy?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I've seen that film. It's pretty. I like that film.
That one follows the comic a lot more than the Sylvester Stallone one. The Sylvester Stallone one was definitely just like a cash grab kind of, because it's just like this hokey action movie.
Most of his career really Sylvester Stallone, isn't it?
Yeah, well, except Rocky. Rocky was...
Yeah, he ripped Rocky himself, I'm pretty sure. I think that's one of the big things I've seen about that.
I'm sure Rocky's based off like a real guy, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's the guy it's based off is actually called Rocky, just not Balboa. It's Rocky. He's a boxing legend. I forget his name. But anyway, speaking of Sylvester Stallone movies, the new Expendables film, I'm pretty sure like people hate it. I haven't seen it myself. But
it's just not that doesn't need to be a thing. That's why, like.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't watch it.
I mean, the only reason I had to watch it was, like, well, the only thing that enticed me was like, 50 cents in that film, like, that's quite cool, but then again, that's because it's a cash grab.
Like, the idea was cool when they first made them, but, like, it was, like, the third one, and it was like, okay, you guys can stop now, because, like, the people you're adding now don't even make sense half the time, or they're, like, B to C tier, like, action star, like, or action movie people.
I think a lot of the industry is mainly in it for the money now, like specifically.
Well, that's why you get so many remakes and like sequels or like just nothing, because like nothing really good comes out anymore. Like
yeah, one thing I really hate is when they remade. They had the female Ghostbusters and they also had the children Ghostbusters as well. And I don't know, something like that I think is just silly.
I think the children one actually ties into the old ones though.
Yeah,
it's like supposed to be like Bill Murray's like
the main
grandkid or
characters.
something.
Yeah.
Which that's a little more. And like with the one with the females, like I think that movie would have been alright if because they had the original actors in it. If they would have done a story where it was those guys teaching them to be like the new Ghostbusters, but then when they had the original actors in playing like different characters than who they were, it's like, why are you doing this? This isn't good.
I mean, especially for a big fan, I'm pretty sure you'd find that more annoying than anything.
Yeah, it's like kind of insulting.
It's invalidated my favourite like movie character.
It's like, oh, you know the version you liked? Well, that's going in the background. Why? Like, I'm the reason this is even here, probably. Like, yeah. And then it's just like with Disney, it's like just making movies they've already made, but making them again, or like the 93rd Star Wars movie that, you know.
Oh, no, Star Wars now it's, here's a new show and we're going to bring back one character each season of someone from, like, the animations, or we're going to bring out a character from the original trilogy. I think Star Wars should just be really left alone at this point.
Unless
we'll
you're
just
gonna
step away from that era.
Step away from that, or like it's supposed to be a whole galaxy. Why can't we see some other things in the galaxy, or like see other groups? And maybe show a group that doesn't use the Force, they use something else or do something else. Like, because that's one thing I will give Jedi Fallen Order is they have, like, different groups who, like, those ladies who, like, interpret the Force as, like, a magic, so they're kind of like witches. Like, that's, like, a really cool idea.
Well, the thing is with Star Wars, they have all these comics from, like, different, like, eras in Star Wars. The Star Wars universe, it stretches across thousands of years, but they can't stop making visual content on the same, like, 50 years. And then you're annoying big fans because you're, like, making loopholes all the time just because you're introducing new characters, and then it just always has the question, where was this character during this scene then?
Or you just have characters in there that don't make sense.
Shut up, Byron. She'll get sent out the hard way.
Like when, what was it, Rise of Skywalker, they just have Lando Calrissian for just, like, basically no reason, just to have him there.
Yeah.
Well, Leia died, we gotta have somebody from that other movie. Just put Lando in. Alright, that works. That's basically what they did.
Well, the whole film from the start, or the whole trilogy from the start, they ruined it in episode 9. Well, somehow Palpatine returned.
Ooh, what a crossbody wound. Yeah, that was awful. Why would you bring that guy back? Hey, like, we don't have any ideas for a villain. What should we make? Oh, I don't know, like this new guy. Oh, what if we just brought Palpatine back, but just even worse and older and more feeble? Yeah, let's do that.
So what's he doing in the movie? Sit in a chair.
Oh, yeah? And then what does he do? He sits in the chair.
And then what? He shocks someone and kills himself with it.
What an amazing character. 10 out of 10. Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Oh, I just...
Like,
no more original stories anymore.
No, yeah. Like, can we just have something original? You don't have to, like, keep beating things to death. And don't make bad horror movies. That's not original. Like, it is, but it's not. Well, let's make Paranormal Activity 39. No, let's not. Watching people get dragged by wires around their house is not scary.
Saw 10. Apparently Saw 10 is actually a pretty decent film, though.
Yeah, this person I was talking to the other day that saw it that I know, they said it's actually pretty good, and it actually has like a somewhat, I guess it's basically like somebody has like a medical thing and they go somewhere to get treated and it doesn't get treated properly, so they like get revenge by basically becoming Jigsaw. That's the best way I can put it without like giving spoilers, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, no, that actually to me was like, okay, that sounds kind of closer to like the original like plot of Saw, so I like that because I thought the first two were fine. It was just that you know, the last 27 or whatever that have come out that just
the last like 100 films or two.
It's like the original Jigsaw has been gone for like 10 years.
See, next year,
this is the apprentice of his like apprentices, brothers, roommates, cousins, uncles, mom's dog breeders, grandma, and what happened was you know what I mean? Like that's basically where we're at. Like,
you know what we need? We need CM Punk to enter the Saw universe and just drop a pipe bomb.
Yeah, that doesn't.
This film is gonna go down to Stephanie when you're dead, Vince.
I don't know. I've heard they don't want him. For WWE does not want that guy, and I don't think they're going to take him. I just think the negatives might outweigh the positives in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, considering the way he left AEW.
He didn't really leave WWE on the best terms either.
Yeah.
Some people think he's going to Impact or TNA. Let's call it by its proper name, TNA. But I don't know. I think I'd see him taking a pay cut because, like, he could go to TNA. That if he goes there, they're gonna make a bunch of money. He would make a ton off merch and stuff.
Yeah, and he'll also be the poster boy for the company for a little bit. Whether it's face or heel.
Yeah.
He is the spotlight.
So I don't know with that one. Like, I just think people with, and I know we kind of weirdly segued into wrestling there, but it was just the CM Punk thing got me going on that. I get why people think he'll be at Survivor Series, but I almost feel like WWE is just going to troll people with it more than anything.
Yeah, like, I can just see Paul Heyman especially, like they give him like the mic and he's talking about how he's the greatest in the world or something. The lights go dark, and then it's someone challenging Roman. But obviously, everyone, because he said greatest in the world, they're going to think it's CM Punk. I can see that being a nice WWE troll.
Here we go, gentlemen. Huge
something, yeah, they'll do something.
Paul Heyman's like a fucking menace on the mic sometimes as well. Pardon my language there.
Yeah, no, Paul Heyman is the, I mean, he's good on the mic. I was interested when he was on NXT there, like, talking to the Rock's daughter, because she'd be interesting in the bloodline.
I remember seeing a clip the other day. He was on, like, ESPN or something, talking to that Stephen A. Smith guy.
Yeah.
And he was saying how he's the greatest manager of all time, the GOAT. And then they brought up other ones. He's like, no, don't care, he's dead. He's not as good as me. If he's so good, why is he dead? It's on TV. Like, it's just
definitely staying
plays a
character,
perfect
man.
character.
Yeah, he does. It does make you, like, I don't know, because the only other there's like not a lot of other managers currently anyway. There's like Robert Stone, which is just Robbie E from TNA, and he's more of a comedy character.
Yeah.
Lana, under her like real name or whatever, she's in AEW now as a manager, and she's like still hasn't found her client because I didn't immediately shove her with Miro. There's Zelina Vega is like a wrestler / manager.
Yeah,
She
same
does
goes
all-
for Rhea Ripley, sort of, with all the Judgment Day antics going on these days. She just comes ringside, plays her part. I think she's pretty good at what she does.
Yeah, she
Sort
kind of
of like
plays
the
manager
first-
for them.
I don't know what I'm trying to say first. Is it? I don't know how to explain what she is. Like the love interest for like half the roster. Like they've got the thing going with Jay. Every time, was it Trick Williams that caught her?
Yeah,
rope,
yeah,
like,
I get what
romantically.
you mean. Like, they're basically playing into all the dudes on the internet simping for her. I get what
Yeah.
you mean, like, which is funny. I give them props for doing that.
She's definitely good at what she does. She's the perfect, in my opinion.
The best part about that is the person she's with is an aide.
Yeah, I know. Always see the Instagram posts all the time.
That's why WWE has to be careful not to like upset her, because she could easily get a job at their competition, and that's not someone they
Yeah,
want to
like-
lose.
And obviously, I'd say, in my opinion, she is the face of women's wrestling at the moment.
I
I
would
don't know if
say
that's more biased because I find her the most cool.
I would say that's pretty accurate, like, because as much as I respect Io Sky, they definitely don't promote her as hard as they do Rhea. And as
Yeah.
much as, like, Becky was doing, like, great with the NXT women's title and that, I feel like until Becky actually gets into it with Rhea, it's, like, right now it's currently Rhea. But I feel like
I
if Rhea
think
and Becky have
she's
a
a very
feud, it's going to be
unique character
amazing.
as well.
She is. She's a lot different than, like, the...
The
She's kind of
average,
like they do have it right where they kind of treat her like the modern day China, because she kind of is, but she's less. I don't know. She's more. I don't know how to put it. Like, she has her own aura, because the only thing is she is a little different from China. China had this certain like aura about her, and she's
Yeah.
very imposing. And not to say Rhea Ripley isn't, but like,
She's got her own standout.
yeah. Although she better hope Randy can't do no RKOs ever, because if he comes back.
She's eating the mat. Oh, it's a real shame for Randy Orton's whole injury situation.
Yeah.
Possibly not ever wrestling again. He's my favourite of all time. I think my favourite feud was him and John Cena. Obviously, I didn't grow up through Attitude Era Wrestling. That could be a very different story.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm going to have, like, my favorite Stone Cold, and I'm going to have, like, different opinion, but I think Randy is one of the greatest of all time. I have nothing, like, bad to say about Randy. I've liked him ever since his, like, original run, like right when he was doing this injury angle thing, and he first came in, and, like, right before he joined Evolution, that's when I started kind of, like, being like, oh, this guy's really good. And then, obviously, when he got into Evolution, it was just like, damn, this kid is good, like, and he's like the prime,
I love.
Yeah, and he's the prime example of, like, evolving over the years, because if you look at early Orton compared to now, like, Legend Killer Orton versus, like, the more recent, like, or even the RK Bro one, it's like a much different, like, although I wonder what he's going to do if he does come back, and I wonder if he's going to still be able to do the RKO, or, like...
It might have to be, like, that's what I feel like, he might have a send-off match where he finishes it with an RKO, because obviously that's what's doing his back in the most. The RKO, I'm pretty sure it was him that said he wished he chose, like, another finisher, just because of landing it is horrible. You're just jumping as high as you can and then just slamming your body into the ground.
Because he should have done it how DDP did it. If he would have done it more like DDP, it wouldn't have killed his back so much. Not blaming him, it's just DDP, if you ever saw it, he did somewhere, he did it from, like, a standing position. And he had, like, different variations. I think that's why Randy changed it up over time to, like, do it from different angles, because it probably was a little easier on his back if he didn't always just have to do the jumping and the... You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, no, a finisher can do that, because that's also, like, with Triple H's knees, it was the pedigree that mainly did him in.
It's a lot of superstars, like, awesome finishers throughout their career, but as soon as you hit that certain age...
Because that's part of the reason I'm pretty sure Punk stopped doing the Pepsi plunge for the most part. Because it's just a pedigree from the top rope, and if the regular pedigree already, like, does that to your knees, imagine one from, like, the middle or top rope.
Yeah, it's just gonna...
Your knees are gonna be like, they're gonna shatter at some point. Ooh, what a kick. Yeah, it's like unfortunate Randy, like, isn't around right now, because he also probably had the most longevity of any current wrestler, like, being in the company. Like, nobody's been there longer, I think, at this point.
Yes, but it's basically been his whole adult life, really, isn't it?
Yeah, because he didn't really go into anything else like other people did.
I feel like he could make a pretty cool manager. As long as he plays that sort of character, he'd be a really cool manager.
No, he really could.
Sort of like evil, devilish, sort of, not devilish, but a menace.
He definitely could. He could be a good manager. I know, we'll have to see what happens, because nobody really knows. He's the only one that really knows what's going on.
Same story for the last year or so. Just
about, yeah, since like earlier this year. Oh, I messed that up.
Speaking of wrestlers like Randy Orton, John Cena splashing back into WWE, and
yeah, that had to do a lot with the... And he's been doing good. It had a lot to do with the like writer's strike and stuff, because he couldn't really make any movies. But like, at least he like came back, and he's like, well, you know, because he knows at least like the WWE fans will welcome him back, and he definitely has been putting his heart into this run, like you can tell.
Yeah, because he's not even making it about himself. Like,
he's been making it about the other people. Yeah.
WrestleMania, he took a loss to
Austin Theory,
which is obviously massive.
Even though they've done nothing with that, but yeah.
Yeah, which is like just Vince in a nutshell, really, isn't it?
Like, And now Austin Theory is like teaming with Grayson Waller, and all I ever think of is the Spider-Man meme where it's just like the two Spider-Men pointing at each other.
Yeah, but I really like their two characters. Like, they're really hateable heels. It sort of reminds me of like Dolph Ziggler and The Miz, like back in 2015.
No, yeah, but that's kind of my gripe with them is they just seem like The Miz again, and they already have them. You know what I mean? Like, they're not terrible in the ring or anything. It just feels like they're the typical WWE heel of like what The Miz plays, where it's basically just like that person that you would have hated being in high school with, like just completely obnoxious and like a bully and like. But yeah, no, they're both good. I'm not taking anything away from them as wrestlers because they're both really good. Like,
yeah, it's one of those things. For a lot of wrestlers, they could have a much better character, and the look on them as a whole wrestler would be the same. Different, sorry, not the same.
Though I do think Grayson Waller is a little bit more, I don't know, I kind of prefer him to Austin Theory. I don't know what it is. I think he does the role a little bit better. I don't know if it's the accent and I think I prefer, like, I wish Theory would go back to Taxi or whatever, even Derpol was saying the other day, because the A-Town Down does not look devastating.
Nah. Well, I mean, and I don't know if you remember Grayson Waller's, one of his old finishers. He'd randomly get out of the ring and just do a rolling stunner.
Yeah, that rolling stunner doesn't really make a ton of sense, like, unless you're, like, hitting it kind of out of nowhere, but, like...
Yeah, but he used to just get out of the ring to hit it.
Never made sense. Yeah, I'm going to get a running start to my roll and then do it, and it's like...
Then jump in the air.
It just seems like a lot of extra work to do something you could just probably stand in the corner in, like, a spear position to do. But he was good.
How old is Grayson Waller? He's been in, it was like 205 live dates he was doing that, so good amount of time ago.
He was in 205 live, wasn't he? Yeah, I don't know. I think he's probably in his like late 20s, early 30s.
He's still got a decent career ahead of himself then. Just hopefully they do something with him that's gonna make him that big guy.
Oh yeah, I think he'll get there. I think he's someone. I know that they're more than likely going to give it to Logan Paul, but I think he's someone that should get the U.S. title down the line.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Logan Paul, wrestling wise?
Like, as a wrestler, I have nothing against his abilities, like his in-ring, and every like angle or like storyline he's been part of, he's done good. Like, he obviously is having fun and putting his like heart and soul into like the stuff he does do. I'm just like when it comes to his wrestling stuff, I try to watch it more objectively, and I try to like not incorporate like stuff he's done in real life.
That's the whole issue with him. Like, say he was a complete fresh face to the internet. He just joined WWE, and that's what everyone knew him from. I think everyone would love him as a wrestler, but obviously when you consider all the negatives of his actions in the past, he gives everyone a whole new look at him.
You gotta like look at him from a certain like scope because of the stuff he's done in real life, or allegedly done. I don't know, like, you know, I'm not gonna sit there and say
we're talking WWE exclusively. I enjoy his wrestling.
His wrestling and like the few storylines he's been in have all been pretty good, and like
him and Ricochet, obviously that's, no matter what you say, that is insane skill.
And then even him and Roman, that was a good build and a good feud and everything. I didn't have anything wrong with it. I knew he wasn't going to win, and he probably shouldn't have. Like, I mean, it would have broke the internet probably if he did, but like I don't have anything against him as a wrestler, and like when he's doing that stuff, I'm not just gonna like be like, oh well, he blah blah blah. Like, no, like if he's doing good on that, like I'll
needed where it's
the respect and the credits like due. Yeah, like you don't have to like somebody as a person to enjoy their wrestling. Like, as long as they're not doing stuff like what Chris Benoit did or something like that, you know, then
yeah.
And I think he'll do, like, if he does win the U.S. title, like, A, it elevates the U.S. title, and B, it'll bring a lot of eyes to WWE, like even more. So
Yeah. I'm just interested with Logan Paul to see what he does like over the next like couple years, because obviously he's an extremely busy person. I just wonder if he's going to fully dedicate himself to WWE.
I could see him if they somehow work it, and I'm not saying he's ever going to, like, because I know some people, if they heard this, they would like fly off the handle. But if he somehow was like worked into winning an actual one of the 2 world titles, I could see him taking like a break from his other stuff to do like a good little like full-time stint, like maybe 3 months or something. But I don't think you'll ever see him like full-time on the road, no.
Yeah, I mean, he, like I said, I enjoy his skill in the ring. Like, you can't deny that he has that ability. And obviously his mic work's crazy good too. He's just natural like that.
I think the problem is people don't know how to be objective sometimes with stuff like that, so they immediately are like, well, it's Logan Paul, it's immediately bad, and it's like, no, he's a good wrestler. Just let it be. Like, he's a good wrestler. Don't be like that about
I feel
it.
like you immediately invalidate your own opinion if you're talking about a specific thing. But
it's like if you were to go, okay, I don't personally care for this wrestler as a like, not as a worker. I don't prefer his style. It's nothing against him, nothing against like him as a person or a worker or a performer. But I'm not a big fan of Nick Gage, like the deathmatch stuff. It's just not for me. Like, but I've never been big on deathmatch, and that's not a slight at him. But I know he's also like an ex, like con or something like that, and that would be like people just immediately shooting down everything he did because of like his like past, discretions and like.
Well, yeah, same with Robert Downey Jr. He's in so many massive films, but he had his like moments with the law and stuff. I'm pretty sure he got arrested for a little bit as well.
No, yeah, he had like some controversies. You're right. Yeah, no, and exactly.
And I guarantee most people don't even, like, most Marvel insane fanboys don't even know that he's been arrested. But they'll give us an opinion on Logan Paul like that simply because of his past. But bat an eye over Robert Downey Jr.
No, yeah, and you're right. It's a very like. It's very like pick and choose when people want to like get on a celebrity for being a certain way or like that kind of stuff. It's kind of in the boat of like I'm sure there's plenty of wrestlers even active today that have done things that people don't agree with, but they probably wouldn't give them half the crap that Logan Paul gets. And then I think with some people it's just like they probably don't even really know who Logan Paul is or what he did. They might know like a little bit, but it's because it's kind of like the cool thing to do to like hate on him, you know what I mean? Like,
cheap.
I don't have an opinion on him, like personally. Some people get mad about that, but like I know like the stuff that they said he did, and it is like a lot of it is like, yeah, that's probably not like good or it's not okay. But like I don't really pay attention to him outside of like what he I didn't really pay attention to him until he started like doing wrestling. So like it's like I don't have like really an opinion on him for the stuff outside of it.
Yeah. Look, I don't watch wrestling to judge him. I don't watch wrestling to boost who he is. I watch it because I enjoy it, sort of thing. So
and he just happens to be good at it, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like people just, once they pick, nowadays it's like everything seems to be, everybody tries to turn everything into like a team thing. And once you join like certain team, it's like, well, that's your mindset now, and that's kind of how it is.
I'd call it more cult behavior than team.
Kind of the same idea.
Yeah.
When I say team, it's the same idea, but it's just not the team is just kind of more nice, I guess, if you want to say. But yeah, you're right. It's like cult behavior.
What do you think of Ray being the current US champ?
I think it's good, especially like I don't know how many title runs they're gonna have. Ray do going towards his like possible retirement, but it's nice that at least he's out in like
that stage where it's a big consideration. in the coming years.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, he's doing like he's gotten back into like some like good shape though, because I know he does some of this like stem cell stuff, and I know it's helped fix some of his knee problems and that. Like,
yeah.
But he, I think it's good, and if they give him that, and then he did have the tag belts with Dominic for a little bit, I think that's like cool. At least he got to hold a few titles before like
the time comes.
No, yeah, like before he does decide to retire.
I saw someone say they want I forget his name, the other guy in LWO that he won it off.
Escobar,
Santos Escobar, that's one. People say they want to see him with it over Ray, just because Ray doesn't like come across as like a leader of a faction.
Well, and like the thing about it is, but yeah, I get it. Escobar, he didn't want it off him. What happened was Escobar was supposed to go for it, and then like Fury attacked him before the match, so they replaced him with Ray. Because there was this whole thing where him and Ray were supposed to inevitably feud. He was going to go heel and then get the belt off Ray, but now I think they swapped it to like the Logan Paul thing everybody's been talking about.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's crazy that, in my opinion, that Ray's even still wrestling.
No, it is. Speaking of like legends and like, since Ray's from WCW, this is kind of a good way to segue. Flair being in AEW is kind of interesting too.
Yeah,
and I don't think he's gonna
really
wrestle.
Good or really bad.
No, yeah, I don't think he's gonna wrestle, but we might see him as maybe he'll finally be Andrade's manager. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing. If they do make him wrestle, I think that's a very poor decision, but only because his body wouldn't. He can't do what he used to be able to do. He's
his body
an old man,
it.
essentially. It'd be pointless. If anything, he would just hurt himself. But
I think it was just
he's a great manager wrestler guy from back in the day. Like, finished his wrestling career and worked a bit as a manager. Was it for TNA? It was that iconic woo.
Yeah, the thing with him and Jay Lethal.
I find things like that super funny. I think that's an awesome thing to do for him. If he does that at AEW,
well,
a very
funny
active
because him
manager.
And Jay Lethal are both in AEW because AEW Jay Lethal's there, so we might get a replay of the Woo-Law.
I would be all for that.
Yeah, I think him being there is going to be interesting, and I like that it kind of set up for the 6-man where it's going to be Nick Wayne, Luchasaurus, and Christian versus Sting, Darby, and Edge.
Yeah.
Only because as someone who grew up with the Attitude Era and Edge and like Sting never crossing paths because they were always in different companies, it's like really interesting. And then when Sting was in WWE, finally Edge was retired, so it's just interesting.
The fans' luck.
That's what I like is with some stuff in AEW, it seems like we get a second chance for stuff like that we never really got or should have gotten.
When is the next AEW pay-per-view?
It's Full Gear. I can't remember when it is, but I know it's soon, and I know it's Jay White versus MJF right now for the world title, unless Kenny Omega wins it tomorrow at Collision. I think it's Collision they're facing. If it's not Collision, they're facing on Rampage, but I'm pretty sure I don't know why they would put the match on Rampage. It don't sound like that.
Yeah.
Which I'm pretty sure MJF is walking out champ, unless they're going to do what they did with Saraya, a.k.a. Paige, where they just like randomly had her drop the belt to like kind of have like a title swap.
Yeah. What's the reason? Last time Paige wrestled for WWE was a long time ago, right? She was out for injury for a long time, wasn't she?
Yeah, and then she came back, and then she was in a match with Sasha and somebody else, and Sasha like kneed her in the back, but it wasn't on like anything on purpose. During an exchange in the corner where she ran into Sasha's knees and it messed up her back, and that's why she had to go out like And that's why a lot of people wonder because, you know, now she's Mercedes Moné. She was at like a recent AEW show, so they wonder if they're gonna like bring her in and then maybe do a thing between them since there's sort of a real life build in that like rivalry kind of.
Yeah. I used to enjoy watching Paige back in the Diva days of wrestling when it was like the Divas Championship. I thought she was a pretty cool character.
Yeah, because she was more of a wrestler than a diva, which was nice.
Is she one of the youngest ever female champs as well, right? It was like she went on her debut.
I think it's either her or AJ Lee is like the youngest champ, yeah. But I think it was her.
That's interesting. She also got a movie about herself as well, didn't she? Wrestling in the Family, I think it was called. I didn't watch that.
Family. That movie's just no.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about now. We're talking about films.
Well, like, okay, so in the movie, like at a certain age, they show her as like a teenager, right?
Yeah.
And she has like a paper, like or cardboard version of like the Divas title she made. And it's like, first of all, I'm pretty sure there was no Divas title when she was that old. Like, and then second of all, by that point she was already wrestling and had already won actual titles. Why would she make like like not even a toy, like a drawing?
I wonder who inputted on that.
Because they said she had input, but then when you like watch it, there's like so many just like inaccuracies. It's like, all right.
This is a film about you, but we're choosing what goes in it.
We're gonna like just revise some of the history to, you know, fit what we
You
like.
never had a wrestling career at that age, remember? You had a cardboard cutout.
I don't think that's what happened. Well, it is now.
That's okay, people forget things.
I mean, it's just, yeah, I don't know. And then I remember The Rock like heavily promoted that movie because he was like in it or something.
Yeah. Trained her or something in the film, didn't he?
No, it was like because she met him when she was like starting out, or I don't know, it was something. I've never seen the movie. I don't want to see the movie.
Yeah,
I'd rather watch that awful WWE Films movie where Triple H is like that escaped convict who like drives the school bus or whatever.
Do they still make is it Marine films?
I don't think so.
I'm glad, to be honest.
Unless like they make them directly for Peacock, and then there's like the Chaperone. That's the one that Triple H made. That's what it's called.
Some very questionable decisions sometimes.
Yeah, that really was. Those WWE films.
Carrying on the topic of women's wrestlers, I don't know her last name. That Jade that's just entered the WWE. That's it.
She's from AEW.
Yeah. What are your expectations of her in WWE?
As long as she actually gets a proper push, she could be money. Like, I'm glad they put her on NXT because, like, one thing is everybody was like, oh, she's going to, like, feud with Charlotte, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, if you actually know her, she's not green, but there are a few things she saw. Like, I wouldn't say she needs work in, but, like, polish, I would say.
Yeah.
And on top of it, I just think she would do good for NXT because right now NXT, what do you call it? NXT needs, like, I think it just needs the star power in the women's division. Like,
yeah, that makes sense. I can name a few men's NXT wrestlers, but not many women. So.
And then I have big expectations as long as WWE uses her good. The only thing I find funny is all the WWE fanboys that hated her in AEW as TBS champions are like, oh, look, AEW, another blah, blah, blah. I think the thing that annoys me more is how they took Brian Pillman Jr. to NXT from AEW, and then they changed his name to Lexis King, and it's like, first of all, Lexis, like something that a 16-year-old girl calls her friend Alexis, like, cool. And then King, like, is it like, that's just generic. It's like, dude, did like somebody just play Tekken and pick your last name based off the wrestler dude on that? Like, such a bad ring name. And then he like He has all the mannerisms and everything of his dad, but they're just trying to... It's like the Braun Breaker thing. Like, just let him have the... Like, look at Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. You let them keep their family name, and look how successful that was.
You literally. What was I going to say? Just judging, I don't think I've ever seen her wrestle, Jade, but judging from what I've seen of the screen time she's had on WWE, she seems like quite a clash with, or personality-wise, seems quite similar to Charlotte, just that sort of like queen sort of
Yeah,
personality.
that's why I like her and Charlotte. It'll probably be a feud down the line, which I'm not against, because it's actually one of the ones where that's like one of the ones where I was like, well, if she's going to WWE, I'd like to see her and Charlotte.
Yeah.
And her and Asuka could be interesting too. I was sure her and Becky were going to fight for the NXT Women's title, but nah, Becky dropped it. I guess it's not happening.
People are saying Seth's going to drop the belt soon and take a decent break from wrestling. I saw Seth's been trolling. I'm pretty sure he was like speaking like that a little bit, like building up as if he's going to announce a little break, but then he just like trolled him like, nah, not today. Yeah, I don't know who could drop into either. Who are the big names on Raw at the moment?
I mean, there's McIntyre, there's Sami Zayn, there's Cody Rhodes, there's Jey Uso, there's I pretty much.
I don't like that they keep doing the brand split things and then make it mean nothing.
Yeah, it's like keep them split. Do what you did with the
Damon
first.
Priest still has the bank, doesn't he?
Yeah, I just don't know. I kind of feel like he should cash in on Roman, but that's just me because they built nobody to beat Roman really, and I don't think Cody should just do it on try number 2.
Yeah. If he did say, I mean, it would be pretty cool to see Damien cash in on Roman, because I imagine if that happens, Roman's still going to defend it, and then they're just going to add that to his like collection of things he's done. He's been your champ for like 1,090 days, and he also defended it against the Money in the Bank crashing. Sorry.
Well, I had a way for him to lose it to the Money in the Bank cash in that would actually make the most sense, in my opinion. Yeah. What you do is you essentially have a match where it's where the judgment or the bloodline falls apart. So you have like Jimmy and Jay kind of like not maybe fully reunite, but they like both like super kick him, and then Solo takes him out. And then when he's getting up, the Judgment Day comes out, and he's already taken like 3 finishers. And then Dominic and Finn hit the ring, and they both hit him with like their finisher. And then like as he's staggering to his feet, Damien cashes in, and then he could take like maybe a finisher from Damien, kick out. And then you have him take one more, and like he just can't kick out of like 7 finishers. So
yeah, just like out of it completely.
Yeah, because then it makes him look like it's like, first of all, he's still kicked out of the first one, so he looks like a beast. But then it's like you can also be like, it took like 6 people and like 7 finishers to finally end his run. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can make him look really strong, and then that makes Damien look really good too. But my thing is, I have a feeling. This has been my feeling the whole time, is you know how JD McDonough gave like Damien that briefcase? Why do I have a feeling like it's going to be like somehow revealed that doesn't really have the thing, and that the real contract, like Finn or McDonough's had it the whole time, and like they have it now? Like, why do I just feel like that's something WWE is going to do?
Yeah, I get what you mean. This is JD McDonough's first actual stint in WWE, right, with the Bloodline. Was he in NXT before that? Or
he was in NXT, yeah. He's one of those guys where he did alright in NXT, and then he just got like a random call-up, and like nobody really knew why he was getting called up, but I guess this is why.
Yeah.
Even though the storyline really hasn't gone anywhere for him that much, but...
I think Bloodline is my favourite faction in recent years.
Yeah, the Bloodline was
I like
really
the Bloodline,
long.
but I also do really like Judgment Day at the same time.
I think what made both of them good is they're good in the sense of like they're different, because Judgment Day is more like they're all like good wrestlers, but they still use like really heel sneaky tactics, where the Bloodline was more like they just dominate the hell out of everything, and then like if they can't dominate, then they'll resort to like cheap tactics, you know what I mean? It's kind of like they remind you of like that sports team where like they're already dominant, and then you find out that like a couple of the players were using steroids on top of it, and you're just like, wow. Not to say those guys use steroids. That's not my point. My point is, you know, I'm just saying it's like...
Yeah, I know exactly.
It's like they already have the competitive advantage, and then they just do something to, like, just kind of cheese it. Yeah, and it's just like, wow. Yeah, I don't know. I do agree, though. They're both good stables. But, yeah, the Bloodline was really, like, top-notch when it was at its peak. I don't know what's going to happen with it now.
Sammy was blending in with it. Like, obviously, they had the comedic level. So it's one of those things people love to hate. You love the story with it, but you hate them as heels because they're heels.
No. Also, can we just talk about one thing real quick? I'm still sad that at that time R-Truth came out and like he had that little comedy thing with Brock Lesnar when he was 24/7 champ before Lesnar decimated him. Am I the only one that's not sad that either Lesnar or Paul Heyman didn't pin him for that belt right then and there?
Oh, Paul Heyman 24/7 champion.
And then he's being like protected by Brock, so like no one can get the belt off of him. That would have been so funny.
Oh. And be like Durag Vince with the belt, just incredible plot armor protection.
That would have been funny. I don't know why that came to mind right now. It just did.
Oh, I back that. Should have happened.
Right now, the MVP in wrestling is Tozawa, though.
Just in the background of all of the
like, doing random stuff, and then like on NXT, he just came out and took Noam Dar, like he has the Heritage Cup or whatever. He just came out and stole it, like for no reason. And then that like weird workout thing he was doing with the Alpha Academy, like where he's wearing like that pink like workout like singlet, and it was just like, all right. Tozawa should get a push.
So you should dethrone Roman, take steps wise at it. Also, should just steal the Money in the Bank at the same time so no one can cash in on him.
He can dethrone Gunther and then just send the internet into a complete rage. Speaking of that, who's gonna dethrone Gunther if we're talking about Roman? Like, who's gonna dethrone Gunther?
I think, yeah, he's like actually made that belt big again, isn't he?
Yeah.
It was just like even US title, like sort of now. It's not really like.
I would say it's doing better with Ray holding it.
Definitely done better. But
than when Theory held it, but
when Theory had it, it's like you wouldn't care.
It was just in the limbo,
title
basically.
Match, but it just feels like a random like mid card match. But yeah,
well, it's because you knew Theory was always going to reverse or retain. That's why it was boring with Theory.
Yeah,
it was just like, oh, he's fighting this guy, but he'll probably just retain, and then I won't want to watch this. For Gunther, it's like, oh, he's going to retain, but I'm kind of happy because I want to see like who he goes on to face until he finally doesn't retain.
Yeah, he's definitely made that belt a very prestigious belt again, which is awesome.
Because a lot of people think he's going to either drop it right before or a little after Rumble, but a lot of people think he might be the one to win the Rumble and then go on to face Seth and take the belt off of him at Mania, which I'd be fine with.
I think that's deserving. How old is Gunther? He's not massively old either, is he?
No, I think he's in his 30s. That or do, I know this sounds crazy, but imagine having him step up to Roman, and then you have like Bloodline versus Imperium. That would also be interesting. And he's someone that could believably take that belt off of Roman, so... And it's a match I don't think we've gotten yet.
I'm trying to think. I think you're right.
Unless they like encountered each other in some Rumble at some point.
I think the closest there's ever been to it is just Jimmy and Jay versus Imperium.
Okay, yeah, because Oof. I wasn't sure, and like,
at least the Intercontinental title feels massively special right now. But back in the day, it was like, wasn't it like a rule, like an unwritten rule that you had to win that before getting a world title?
yeah, generally, like they would, if they were planning to make you world champion, you were gonna hold that belt first because you didn't just give it to you didn't hot shot people the world titles. I don't know where that actually came from.
I'm happy she did. I don't want this match to end. Slips out of the way there. What reflexes? Kick to the knee.
I feel like a cool angle for Grayson Waller, actually, speaking back to him. Imagine he wins the US title and keeps it for a while and actually does a lot more than Austin does in terms of like a heel with a belt. Make it the Australian title. I feel like that is one way to be #1 hated in America.
The Australian Championship.
Yeah. Because he does like distant countries a lot. I remember Money in the Bank, he was insulting British culture quite a lot.
No, that would be a good idea. So I thought they should have done with Del Rio when he won it, like called it the Mexico title or something.
What's Del Rio up to now? He's been in the
I
wrestling
know. I
quite
think
a few
he wanted
times.
to. Yeah, I think he wanted to come back to WWE, and they're just like, "Nah, we're good." Like, I mean, I don't blame them. What a guy.
I think actually currently he's in Lucha Pro Wrestling or something like that. I think I
Oh,
saw
like one of those
clip.
lucha. Okay.
Yeah, and he had like an entrance like he was the Undertaker or something. Like he had the most crazy standing ovation. He had like a 5-minute entrance.
Even though he's not even like, in my opinion, that good.
Like he's definitely okay, but he's not like worthy of standing ovations and stuff.
But I feel like if they would have given him the Intercontinental title before they had him win the world title, it would have been so much better because that guy screams Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
But no, we have to hot shot people to every belt. Like,
that's what I sort of think they should do with LA Knight, to be honest. Give him a mid-card table belt for like...
well, so what a lot of people think is going to happen is he's going to lose to Roman, which is kind of obvious.
Yeah.
Which that's why a lot of people are mad, with me included, because I was hoping he was going to be the Rumble winner, but if he's getting this shot, he probably won't be. And then what I was thinking is you have or they were saying what's probably going to happen is after that, it's going to be him challenging Logan Paul at Mania for the U.S. title, which is fine, but like in my opinion, it's just like everybody's like, oh, that's really good, and I'm like, yeah, that's a big match and everything, but again, that's still not like, and I'm glad he's getting a belt, but like I thought like the whole thing is like we wanted him to get the world title because that's literally where he's at popularity wise, and we're just like gonna settle, you know, like okay.
I think the issue with him, like people have with him, is he hasn't got much substance to like everything he says. Like obviously he's the biggest like name you could say at the moment into the fans, but he hasn't really got any massive like career wins in terms of.
No, he really hasn't.
Like obviously Rumble would be perfect. Like he's won the Rumble, he's earned that.
His biggest like I guess like rivalries were probably Bray Wyatt and The Miz, and he only won the Miz one.
Yeah. I like LA Knight.
I do too. I'm hoping
people say he's like a carbon copy of like he's just copying The Rock back in the day, but I wouldn't say it's a carbon copy. He's obviously got his own twist to it.
He's kind of like,
but I think that's a good thing. He's an extreme charismatic wrestler, and not even in a bad way. He works the crowd like perfectly. Like
he's like The Rock and Austin mixed, in my opinion. But again, not in a bad way. He knows like what made them kind of popular, and he knows how to utilize that himself.
Like even when he was a special guest referee in NXT, like all he had to do was point at the crowd and was literally screaming, "Yeah!"
It's not like, you know, Sonny Siaki or Juventud Guerrero, where they were literally called, like, Juventud in WCW called himself the Juice and started doing the people's elbow, like.
I do like LA Knight. It's just a little bit of a shame. He's obviously, I'd say, the final quarter of his career, and he's just gotten this big.
I still wonder what would have happened if whatever happened that made his AEW, because he almost signed with them, made the contract fall through. I wonder what would have happened if he would have went there.
True. Didn't he say like he had a lot of heat in like the early stage of his career? That's why he wasn't at WWE for very long.
Yeah, and then like he ended up going to TNA/Impact, but then he ended up hating his run there at the end, and then he went to NWA, but then the same thing, he started to hate his run there. So I feel like he should just not work for Billy Corgan, because both the end of his like Impact run and his and obviously NWA, they're both owned by Billy Corgan. So maybe it's just like maybe you shouldn't work for him.
Yeah. Yes, that makes sense.
All right, we've hit about an hour. Did you want to continue, or do you think that's a good jump away point?
I think a good end point would be a quick discussion on Vince McMahon versus Tony Khan.
I mean, Vince is out now. But okay, so if we're talking treatment of workers and stuff, I think Tony Khan's a better person when it comes to that. When it comes to booking, obviously early Vince, but I think both now just both book kind of erratically.
yeah. I definitely agree with that. But I think a big thing you have to consider when we're talking about it like that is Tony Khan's only just mainly started up this company, whereas WWE's been going on for so many years.
No, that's what I tell people when they're so hard to compare the two. It's you realize that AEW is only 5 years old. So if you really want to make that comparison, it's look how much they've done in the short time that it took WWE to do all.
Even through COVID, so you can't even consider 2 of those years as in prime years. It founded during a really tough time, and they're still going, which is a massive thing to.
And they've basically proven they're not just number 2, because that's what everyone says they're a second tier, and it's but what about the Wembley thing, and they obviously
if they were number 2, WWE would not have had to put Undertaker, John Cena, LA Knight, Paul Heyman all on NXT just to compete with them. They acknowledge that AEW is a competitor.
I think one thing that would help AEW is if they would stop doing the when they're trying to promote a show, be this team will be in action, but they don't tell you who they're ever going to face, or they'll just be so and so, Sting will be on tonight, and then it's well, what's he doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's probably their biggest problem, is a lot of the time they just they should be a little more transparent. If you know you're going to have this banger of a match, just advertise it. Because even though it was supposed to be a surprise, I heard the AEW rating for this week wasn't that great, and it's maybe you should have just advertised Ric Flair being there.
Yeah, instead you need that hype, or even just tease it, not necessarily advertise him, just point things towards him.
Because what you're essentially doing is you're what do you call it? You're banking on people getting hyped off of him showing up off the surprise and then returning next week to view the episode to see what he does. And it's well, why don't you just kind of hype up the announcement and then
they could have had a new just a normal advert for AEW just saying tune into our weekly shows, whatever, this, that, and then just end it with you just hear a Ric Flair woo or saying that's obviously going to get attention, and then people start tuning in is Ric Flair going to show up? Or you sort of that Undertaker bong when they did the not Undertaker bong, just Undertaker bell sound at the end of that NXT advert. They didn't have to say it was there, they just hinted it, and obviously it was a very obvious hint, but
yeah, it's really all they would have had to do, because that's my one problem with them, is they do a lot of cold debuts or things like that, where they they just have someone come out
every time.
Well, and the problem is with some people, when they have these people they hire who are big on the indies, but they don't do anything to build them up, and it's there's some people who don't know indie wrestling, and you're assuming that it's the same people watching your Yeah, the same people that started watching AEW watch it now, but you've also gained a casual audience who doesn't watch hardcore indie wrestling like your early
Yeah.
audience, so they don't know who some people are. It's like, so like the good example is like when they debuted that guy Luther, and he just came out and like they basically had to have Excalibur on commentary explain to people at home like who he was and what he's done on the indie scene, because like even me, I was kind of like, who the hell's Luther?
Yeah.
I think that's probably Tony Khan's biggest problem compared to Vince's. I think Vince is a much better promoter. Booking wise, like there's a debate to be had, but I think promoter wise, like Tony's definitely starting to learn how to promote better, but I think
like,
Vince is a
give it
lot
like
better about
another
it.
5 years, double the amount of time we've had now. I guarantee AW will be like a whole new company. It'll be completely different. What we're saying now will just be completely irrelevant. He might be able to advertise, sell shows perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think his only problem is he has trouble promoting things, like in a way that's that like someone like me will be like, oh cool, so and so like Jay White's going to be on the show, but like for some people just saying he's going to be there isn't enough. Like you're like, oh like Jay White's going to be in action against so and so, and then you have people like, oh that's happening, I'm going to come watch. Like
Yeah.
and I think if they would just step it up a little on the promoting end, I think Tony Khan definitely would be like, I don't know, like I know that like the only thing I will say is like early, like young Vince McMahon, especially when he was making a lot of the power plays, like that Vince McMahon was a genius. So I don't want to take a lot away from him. Like all the way up, I'd say all the way up until probably like 2010 to like, or probably
PG
20
era starting.
like honestly probably from when The Rock won the belt off Punk till now, the company has just been like, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I guess that's a good stop point comparing the two companies.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I mean, we'll be back soon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on
It
the
was
stream.
awesome.
It was awesome. Remember, if you're joining us here on the stream, whether it's on the replay or the live stream, it's, just leave a follow. If you're joining us on YouTube, remember to like, subscribe, leave us a comment, maybe tell us what you want to hear us talk about. We're open to pretty much anything as long as it's not, political, that kind of nonsense. But yeah,
Preferably gaming and media.
gaming or like pop culture / media, we're always open to. Heck, if you even want us to talk a little bit about sports, we can. I don't know that much, but Glaz knows a lot more than I do, so
Yes, sir.
we could. And I know enough about sports, so. But yeah, I mean, so thank you guys for joining us, and we'll be back soon. All right, guys. See ya.